They said I couldn't do it, but I can. Yes, I can. New requests are coming in to be my friend. Build a brand.
All right, guys. So we just got done with the podcast, and Trent and I were just discussing before we got off. You can see Trent's right there. That there's so much more that we want to talk about. So we're gonna have another episode, and I will be sending you an update on when that's gonna happen, and we're gonna really dive deep into stuff you can do to personally market yourself on Facebook. There's so many great ideas that Trent has, so we're gonna go ahead and do a second episode. So be sure to look out for that in the next few weeks to come, and it's gonna be awesome. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we have one of probably I don't know. I have a lot of people I like, but this guy, Trent, so Trent Nichols is probably, I don't know, my BFF. Okay, so Trent and I mean, we'll get into our story, how we met a long time ago. But today we have him. Luckily, we had the chance to get him late at night to join us for an awesome podcast. So today we're going to learn a lot about Trent, how he got in the car business, how he's been branding himself for, forever, and the only salesperson that I knew before that, got onto our product that actually had his own personal website. And we'll also talk about how he is the #1 sales rated person on DealerRater and what he did to achieve that. Before we go ahead and check that out, let's see a quick little intro to exactly who Trent Nichols is. All right, that was an awesome intro. And as you can see, Trent is he's just an awesome guy. So let's go ahead and just let him introduce himself. Trent, take it away.
Hey everybody, I'm Trent Nichols, also known as Trent the Car Guy. I've been in the car business for almost 17 years now, and been doing a lot of personal branding for a large majority of that time. Last 10 years of my career, I've been with Tucson Subaru, and I'd say about 8 years ago, my position changed at the store, and I was asked to be able to start working from A to Z with clients again. And I said, as long as I can do some personal branding and kind of run my own business within a business, I am on board. And I've had a really successful time at just living as a branding person and let my whole world be surrounded by building a business within a business. And it's an awesome way to do what we do for a living. It's very rewarding, and I always love to share about it. So thank you, Cam, for getting me in to do this little podcast interview, whatever you want to call it, just because I love to share just as you do. So thanks for putting the platform out there for us all to be able to share about what we do.
Absolutely, man. And no, thank you, because without people like you and everyone that has been on the podcast before and also been on is going to be on after, without you guys, I mean, this doesn't exist. Without great salespeople in this industry that actually want to personally brand themselves and build a business within the business like they were hired to do, then I don't get to do what I love to do. I'm living my dream, and I know, Trent, you and I actually have we're like the same person, even though you're a lot older than I am. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, way
yeah.
older.
So we're like, we have, we're very similar in the way we think and just everything that we talk about. So it's like almost I'm talking to myself in the mirror every time we talk. And, at the beginning, actually, I guess kind of throughout that entire thing where you're introducing yourself, you've been in the business 17 years. And in 17 years, you've seen the industry change dramatically. And then you get into, the past 10 years being at the same store, and you've been personally branding yourself for so long. I guess my very first question is how'd you get into the business, and what made you want to actually start building your own personal brand?
Well, it's funny, every time you talk to people in the car business about being in the car business, as we all know, they never expected to get in the car business, be a car salesman. my story is the same as everyone else. I had no clue that this is what God had in store for me in my life. I joined the military, joined the Army. I was a military police in the Army. I joined on my 17th birthday. I was even trying to find ways to talk the military into taking me at 16, but there's just no way to legally do it.
Right.
A big part of when my selling started, it was back then trying to get the military to take me early. But
which is awesome because most people try to talk their way out of it, and you're over here trying to talk your way in it.
I don't regret a minute of it. I loved it. I think everybody should do it. So if you haven't done it, go do it. When I was young, and I learned a lot about just people and communicating when I was in the military, because I was a young guy who was doing the roles of a police officer, which I look back and I don't know how they allow it, because I look at 18, 20-year-olds now and I feel like I'm 100. But when I got out of the military, I moved to Tucson, Arizona, because I had some family out here, and I was going to join Border Patrol, and it was going to be the next step in my career. And I there was a hiring freeze for 6 months when I made that decision. And so I got a job just to fill the time. I didn't have a whole lot of responsibilities at the time. And I got a job at TGI Fridays serving tables.
Oh, nice.
And that's when I really got to start selling, because, you make more tips, the more people like you, and the more you upsell certain products and things. And never was, real big salesperson before that. And there was a group of guys that came in quite often, and they were. It turns out later I found out that the gentleman who talked to me a lot was the accountant for a large dealership group in our town, and he always would say, "Hey, you should really think about selling cars." And I just answer that everyone says, why would I want to be a car salesman? Who would want to be a dirty car salesman? I had the total cliche thoughts of car salesman. And on top of it, I didn't know anything about cars. It seemed to me a million miles away from something I would ever do. But the guy would come in a couple times a week, ask to sit in my section, and very quickly talked me into trying it out. And what was really neat about it is, he asked me, why wouldn't you want to be a car salesman? And I said, well, they lie, they cheat people, that's just nothing that is, the morals that I have. And he goes, well, what if you just didn't lie to anyone and you didn't cheat anyone? And he's like,
what if you did what was morally right?
Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, but I mean, they have to do that. That's what they have to do. And he's like, hey, at my company, they don't have to do that. No one's going to make you do that. And if that happened, then leave. Go do what you're going to do anyways. He's like, just try it out. And I was like, you know what? What do I really have to lose? I'm just serving tables right now. So let's try it out. So, and it's kind of funny. I look back and I went in for my interview cocky as can be, because I didn't care about the job. I wore a white T-shirt. Had an earring in, pair of jeans.
You had an earring in?
Had an earring in. I was a young guy. And I
want to meet that Trent, just to say,
I know.
What's wrong with you?
Man, that's a different guy. But I because I just didn't need it all. And somehow, I still got the job, but the guy sat down with me, and I remember the whole interview to this day. And what's the most money you've ever made in your life? If you could dream up of a perfect month and how much money you can make, and I basically, in the end, I told him, I said, hey, here's one thing about me is, tell me what I need to learn and when I need to learn it by, and I'll learn it. And I will run circles around the guys here that are already doing a great job. And I was really cocky, and I think I believed it. And so I got hired, and I took all the brochures home with me. I studied them. I mean, I could tell you that the cubic feet of every trunk on every Honda or whatever, because it was at Honda store where I started. And it's but I sure enough went in there, and my first month I sold 18 and a half cars. I made, I think, around $7,000, which at that time was $1 million. So I'm
just laughing because, I know, I think I was in middle school. I'm just kidding. I was probably a freshman in high school.
Probably not. You probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically though, I went in there and I did a good job. And it's funny. I learned really early on that there's a table right by the front door inside the dealership in the showroom that all the old dogs sat at. And they just talk crap about me when I'm running around doing my deals and who's up, oh, there's a customer, and they would skid up slow, like, you want this one, you want this one. And I remember being the guy that they just got so frustrated with because I came in there and was just crushing it. And I got that taste the first month, and then I
got hooked
in the next month, and just 17 years later, I'm still doing it and loving it. But I learned early on that you don't have to lie to people. You don't have to cheat people. You don't have to do those things. And as soon as I learned that, then it was on like Donkey Kong. I learned my product really well. And to this day, I still think that no matter what you're going to do with your branding and all this kind of stuff, part of being a professional and part of doing amazing in this business is truly being a source of knowledge and a source of honest answers, because a lot of people love to hear themselves answer a question, even if they're not sure of the answer. And I think that when you're trying to build this client loyalty, this base of customers who trust you to be, in my case, to be their car guy, or whatever it is, I think that them knowing that they're going to get a straight answer from you, and that if you don't know something, that you're just going to tell them that. I think that I luckily learned that immediately. And that's something now I have, 17 years of doing that. And so my customers do trust. I straight up will tell people, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I don't know.
Right.
I'm not a big gearhead. So when it gets to getting into things a little, really technical, I'm like, ooh, hold on, let me go find out. But I think that that's something that is some of the best advice that I got early on was, if you don't know the answer to a question, write it down, go find the answer and tell them I don't know, but I'll find out for you. And I think that gets skipped by a lot of people who are just trying to be the source of knowledge with a customer, and they don't want to, they think they can get by. But the moment that someone finds out that you gave them a load of crap, your integrity is lost, and it's a
right.
It's a really
You've ruined that opportunity.
Yeah. And every time you're in front of a customer, this isn't about selling cars. This is about selling relationships and building relationships with people who are going to always trust you and always go to you. And so that is, I think, some of the best stuff that happened with me early on, that I learned early on, that I'm actually building a base and I'm building these relationships versus just selling cars, because the car deals will happen automatically. If you know what you're talking about, you know your product well, you treat people right with respect. And, I believe, little nice touches of going the extra mile for people means so much in the big picture. Once you're in, you're in. If you got in the right way, you're in forever. And this is why I have tons of customers who have bought, between them and their family, 10 plus cars from me.
Right. Don't get in there. Yeah, we're gonna get to that later in this. All right. So it's
All
what's
right,
great about, because like I could just listen to you talk, because it's almost like I'm hearing myself talk, but then I look up to you so much, man, because you've done what I thought of when I first started. I was like, man, I just don't want to be the disgusting mustache car guy, try to take your money. What the consumer has been indoctrinated to be told that the salesperson is. And then I was like, I want to build relationships, and you've been doing this a long time doing that. And it's like, man, if I could just be normal, right? Like if a customer wants an answer, just give them the answer. There's no sense of saying, well, you got to come up here to the dealership to get the answer. It's like, why? I could literally order anything off Amazon, have it to my door in 2 days. And
Right.
if I don't like it, I just send it back. And if it's not at my door, they send me another one, no questions asked. Right. And so it's crazy. But now you have so many amazing key points that literally could solve this. Like we could talk about the rest of this entire episode. Like we could just record forever if you want. But the very first thing I want to get into, going back to some of the things you said, then we'll kind of get into the other, good stuff, the meat and potatoes, I guess you could say, is, first off, you started your entire, like it being introduced to the automotive industry when you were a waiter. Okay. So if you have not been a waiter, you should at least do it as a side gig and learn to be a waiter, because I feel like every great waiter, and I was one, and I'm not saying I was great, but I thought I was great, right? Like I could take your entire order and know everybody's order without even having a pen and piece of paper. But every great waiter has always been a great salesperson. In reality, like most of us don't even feel like we're selling. Like we're just passionate about it. And I know you're probably the same way. Like I'm not really selling. I'm just passionate. I remember that first conversation when we ever first met. It's like, hey, you don't have to sell me. And I was like, Trent, I'm not selling you. That's the thing. Like I'm so passionate about what I do. I'm not selling. So, keynote, at least, you should think about, watching waiters and what they do and how, active they are, and you can see the good ones. So I think that's a keynote of just your experience in the past of work has kind of helped you become, to this, amazing guy. It's, ask for Trent, hashtag ask for Trent, Trent the Car Guy. And then the second thing is, you say that you were cocky, right? Like you were the know-it-all. Would you, I guess, agree that that's what
Yeah.
you thought you were the best?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people misinterpret confidence from cockiness. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being completely confident. Matter of fact, there's a great book by the gentleman Chet Holmes, and it's called The Ultimate Sales Machine. There's an entire chapter talking about hiring a superstar, right? And superstar is usually someone that's like, I'm the best. And if you tell them that you're not, like, oh, I'm not really hearing superstar, that's kind of what it says in the book. And then he's basically like, did you open your ears and like hear anything I just said? Like, I'm obviously the best. And I think that's something that's not in everyone, to have that kind of confidence, because when someone says you're, I just don't think you're right for the job, they're like, oh, I'm not. And they kind of just give up, right? Like they let that kind of control their emotions. Whereas someone like you, Trent, like you're like, first off, I am the best and that's fine. I'll probably, just prove you wrong. So I think that's a key point, that some people should take away, is that you can be confident. It's not cockiness, but you can be confident. And when someone tells you that you can't do something, you shouldn't give up on yourself. You should continue going. And obviously this guy sounded like a pretty awesome guy when he was even saying, hey, what if you just didn't lie? Like, what if you just told the truth? How about that? And I'm sure that just took you off like your feet, like, whoa, what do you mean tell the truth? But I think that's awesome. And I guess, do you still know, do you talk to that guy anymore, that old manager?
It's been a long time. He moved away, but we're friends on Facebook. Just little bits here and there.
Okay.
But
I
but
mean,
it's
that's awesome. If he's listening to this, man, I just want to say that's pretty cool that you said that, because you don't hear that a lot. And then getting to my favorite thing that I've always talked about, like when people ask, like, "Oh, what should I do?" Like they're trying to think, like, "What should I post to social media?" Okay, you all have to get certified, and most people are probably listening to this. You're automotive sales professionals, and a lot of you do say, "I'm a sales professional," and that's a very loosely used term, because a professional is someone that truly knows something and almost everything about their industry, and they don't just guess, and they actually prepare. And product knowledge, you said it, like you have to know what you're selling. You took home brochures, right? I can imagine, what year is that? I'm just kidding. But you took home brochures,
2003.
yeah, to learn about the vehicles, and to educate yourself. And some people are like, well, just, oh, like, I'll look at, I remember one time I was out in the lot and someone was walking around showing a Hyundai, and I was certified in Hyundai at that time. And he was making stuff up on the Hyundai, and I felt so bad. So I came in, and despite who thinks that's right or wrong, I just don't think it's right to lie to someone. And I love that right after you talk about product knowledge, you talked about, if you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know. Like there's nothing wrong with I don't know. Like when someone asks me, what's the Pythagorean theorem? I don't know. Like, I mean, I do know, but like, I'm not good at math. Like why tell you something I don't know? Or if someone's asking about something about a vehicle and you truly don't know, don't talk. Like learn to listen. And then if you truly don't know, just say, hey, look, at this moment, I do not know the answer. And no one's ever actually asked me that before. So I apologize, but I'd rather be completely honest with you and find out the correct answer. So you have, the right information to make an informed decision. And that right there is going to go a long way. So man, you have so much there. I feel like I'm cutting it short. It's not fair to everyone listening, because there's so much we could go into depth there.
It's okay. We can do it again.
Yeah, we can
So
do it again. All right,
I'm
cool.
not going anywhere.
We'll do it every week. So then, getting into, that's, how you got in the car business. And then what was this like idea? Like, why did you I mean, you had these older guys making fun of you, you know, or talking about you because they're like, look at this young buck just probably running around, or, you know, and they probably got to the point where he's just taking all the ups and stuff, which is hilarious to me, because you can get up and you can walk. And, you know, if you want something handed to you, well, you're probably in the wrong business, because this isn't something where just everything's handed to you for free. There's nothing free in life. Everyone has to pay for it and work for it. So I've been there. I've done that. I've actually had someone say, hey, you going to share any of the ups? I go, hey, you going to get off your seat today? It's totally up to you, because I have to feed my family. And so what was it that you said, I just have to brand myself. Like, I just have to build my own business. Why did that thought come to your head? Because a lot of people didn't think about this stuff, man, like 17 years ago.
Well, it's kind of funny because even back then, I don't even think about it much anymore. But even back, 2003, 2004, I started my branding originally. And I haven't even thought about this in many years, but I had a website. It was hondatrent.com.
Really?
And I don't even remember what all it was. I think I made it like a product knowledge website because I wanted to tell customers that were on a Honda Civic, I wanted to have something to give to them that was more of like a side by side with the other cars they would be comparing against. So like comparing a Civic and a Corolla, like a couple of, cars that might be similar. And because even though we had the internet, it wasn't just like, it's just different than it is now. I mean, people weren't fully like crazy researching like they do now. Back
They
then,
didn't have the access to the information as they do today.
yeah. So, but they still have the internet. And so I had a website that was basically all about contacting me, trying to funnel people to me, that I could share if I met somebody out. And that was, if I seen somebody if there was somebody within 15 feet of me, I was telling them about me working at Honda and come, if you need a car. I was kind of, that's all I cared about all the time was just that was back. I was working bell to bells every single day, not taking days off. I mean, stuff I would never do now.
Right.
But I had a site, and basically my goal was I learned my product so well, and I was very, very confident that I then realized that this is crazy to know all this and to not just go get the same information on the cars that everyone's telling me they're looking at. If I'm selling Civics, they're also looking at Corollas. I need to learn the Corolla. So I started learning my competition really well. And then I put it in a spot where someone could just go online and see a page about the Civic and the Corolla. And that was what my branding was. It was just a funnel site for, to funnel business to myself. So I don't even remember, how that all ended. Probably when I left Honda, went over to start internet department at our Mercedes store. And eventually I left and started my own dealership. And that was something that really took my branding to a different level, because when I had my own car lot, I had a used car lot here in town for a few years. And we closed down in 2008. But branding was a totally different level, because I was really branding my business, and I was, doing more than just personal branding. I was actually putting signs out there and putting advertisements in places and doing a lot of stuff that was even new to me. And then I think that's where I got the good habits that I brought when I got this opportunity. When I left the car dealership and didn't have a car dealership anymore, I went into consulting, and that's how I got the gig at Tucson Subaru. They had just been purchased by our local Volvo dealership owners. And I came in there as a consultant to help with processes, paperwork, and internet department. And that was kind of where I specialized. And after a couple of months, things went really well. They brought me on full time. And when it was time for me to actually work with customers from A to Z, in my head, I go, I just need to run this just like I did my car lot. I need to have advertising budget. I need to have all this stuff to funnel to me, because the store is going to have all these opportunities, but how are they going to get to Trent? And so that was when I discussed with the owner my idea. And I'm sure there's some way you can throw it up here on the screen, because I'll give you the images. There's this really amazing evolution that happened in my branding from the very first Trent the Car Guy, when I sat at home with my wife and said, how am I going to do this branding? What am I going to be? What am I going to call it? And I was like, man, I just want people to know that I'm like their car guy. I want to be their car guy. And my wife was like, what about Trent the Car Guy? So I'm like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. This is why I married you. So my very first, I came up with a logo, and I started sending out thank you cards with it on there, and I started putting a website together. It's me inside a car with a giant bobblehead, caricature thing. So, but over the years, it's kind of been refined more and more. But that was really what made me start thinking like a business, was taking all the things that I used to do as an actual business and putting it into Trent. Because the beauty that when I talked to the owner about this was the store benefits no matter what. When Trent gets business into the store, I still get my Trent piece as a salesperson, and the store still gets everything else and gets the customer. So it's not just me that acquires that customer. I acquire that relationship with the customer, which is what's really valuable. But what the store is getting is they're getting a customer that's then loyal to the store as well, and the service department, all that kind of stuff. So that's the real value. And having a salesperson who focuses on personal branding is, I couldn't imagine having a store full of people all doing the personal branding that one person can do, but everyone deciding to do it, because that's the luckiest store on earth.
Yeah,
because
hands
they're
down.
every customer. And the truth is even right now, to this day, I've got a pretty awesome, loyal customer base. If I move to Hawaii tomorrow, if anybody any good deals, maybe I'll take you up on it. But if I move to Hawaii tomorrow, Tucson Subaru has the customers. They're Tucson Subaru's customers. So the dealership really is a big winner in all this, because the loyalty that the customers have to the individual also carries over to the dealership too. And so that's why it makes me sad when I hear about dealerships who aren't on board with their people having their own websites, or doing some of these branding things that obviously you and a lot of people I see the value in. It's something that I think is going to change a lot over the next 5 or 10 years, because how important this is becoming, and how people are talking about it like this.
Right, absolutely. And it's been that way for years, people like yourself, that wanting to do it. And you were lucky enough to have a dealer, principal that was like, hey, go for it. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's when you have, I guess, the motivation, and like I'm truly invested in our clients. Like it's not just a transaction to me. Like when we're helping people with our product, like I'm truly wanting to help them. And then you have some people that come and like do a demo, and then unfortunately that they're not able to actually utilize it. And I can imagine, like, in this dream world, I think it's called heaven of something. No, I'm just kidding. But you think of an entire store where they're just like, hey, as the store, which there's stores out there, maybe we just don't see it, right? And I just like the store's like, hey, I believe in you as a salesperson. Like, you're a number one asset here, and with you, like, you're going to go out there and reach your circle of influence, because you're an influencer among your circle of influence. And so go out there and create your business. Everyone's told to create your business. Like, this is your business, make it your own. And then their philosophy on how to do it is call everyone, email them, or just anyone in your phone, just put in the CRM. So then it becomes busy work, and it's not really productive, which just is mind boggling. But just imagine that store of just everyone just doing their own thing. Like, you have, Trent the Car Guy, you have, Come See Cameron, you got, Clinton Becker is the honest car guy. And it's like, you have all these people doing their things, Mr. Sweets. And, it's just like, the people, yes, they are the customers. They're the dealership's customers, right? They're buying a vehicle, and it's a transaction with the dealership, but they have a relationship with that salesperson, and they're building an experience, and every experience is completely different. And man, that store sounds amazing, by the way, and this great little, whatever scenario that we're building up. And so I just wanted to kind of elaborate, like, I've actually personally seen several salespeople that wanted to move forward and just couldn't, because someone at the dealership, and I don't know who but they're just like, hey, you can't have your own website, right? But there are many benefits to it. But anyways, back to what really important is the fact that you went from a salesperson to owning your own small car lot. And then that's what's kind of like, that was kind of like the kick, like, hey, I need to start really building my own business. And then you start throwing in all these ads. A lot of people don't really think about how much goes into marketing. Everyone wants, they say leads. I just want a bunch of leads, right? And well, there are opportunities, but you're like, hey, I got to create my own. And then that was the driving force into where you get into this opportunity as you're consulting, doing processes with. By the way, if you're watching and listening, Trent is like I said, I feel like I don't know, we're probably the same person, but his process, I mean, he is so organized. And like I was like, hey Trent, I'm trying to build some processes in my CRM, and he's like, man, check this out, I got you, just so you can get an idea. And this guy has such an amazing flow of processes that he builds out for himself of just how to follow up with his clients. And I was like, this is amazing. It was like perfectly timed by the second. And someone were like 1,614, minutes later. I'm like, I can't even count that much, like, so Trent's amazing at that. And if you're looking, maybe, you're like, you're a salesperson out there, or maybe you're an internet manager and you're like, how can I have, certain type of flows, or what should I do with this scenario? Reach out to Trent, and Trent can, definitely give you some great golden nuggets on how to do that. But then the last part is you started talking about really getting into, as a salesperson, you're like, hey, I need my own ad budget. Your wife's like, hey, just, I don't know, ask, Trent the Car Guy. And you're just like, oh my God, you're a genius. And lastly was, you said something very powerful and that a lot of people don't think about, but you said, the customer they come to see you. And that's you prospecting, and the national average, according to NADA for per car sold, national average is $640. But in that $640, that's assuming that every single person that bought a car came directly from the dealership's marketing money. And the reality is some of them, what if it was my mom that bought a car? Oh, that ain't come from the dealership having to market stuff out there. That came from me doing that. And so, with you branding yourself as an individual, you actually probably saved your dealership a lot of money, because why should they have to spend marketing money to reach people you already know? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, hey, we're hiring you to build your own business, create opportunities, sell cars, and retain your sole customers. But, we're going to probably market to the same people you're talking to. It's like, wait, what? Like, that's crazy. So I think it's awesome that you said, yes, they do come to me, but it's a win-win. Like, I get to help someone and build a relationship, but then the dealership gets a customer that's going to be, a customer probably there for a long time, due to the fact that the relationship between you and the dealership is phenomenal. So thank you for sharing that, because that's something that need to be said. So I wish we had that little thing, like, the more you learn, right? Like, or the more you know.
The more you know.
Yeah. I messed that up, but it's all right. Now to the next part, man. So we briefly, because we could go on this forever. We talked about, how you kind of got in the car business, what that was like when you started branding yourself. And then now we're going to get into what I really like, because I think you have some amazing ideas. And, you don't have to share them all with us, because we'd be here on forever. But, just give us like three great ideas when prospecting, and just like an example on how to do that. Because there's people listening right now that want to know, like, hey, like, I want to know, like, what can I do to prospect? And so give us some knowledge.
Sure. So I get that kind of question a lot, even for people at our dealership. But new people come in and they hear about things that Trent does, and there's definitely a whole list of flops over the years. I have things I've tried and it sounded amazing, and it was horrible. And it's all part of my story. So we all have that stuff. And but it's neat though, because once you find some things that really work well for you, and you can stick onto those and have a process that you can follow that's the same all the time, it becomes muscle memory for you. And now it's easy to try something else now. And then over the years, you can kind of piece together these, this combo of things that really makes the experience really different for a customer, or really helps you get more customers. So my number one that I tell everybody, there's all the time a new person at the dealership who goes, Trent, what do I got to do to be the car guy to do that? And I'm like, you don't need to have a website. You don't need to spend any money marketing yourself. You don't have to do anything other than make sure that every time you sell a car, you pull out a pen and a card, a thank you card of some sort, and you handwrite a thank you card to the customer, handwrite their address on the front of the card, but send them a thank you card and just tell them thank you, and throw them a couple business cards in there. But do it after you sell the car. Just do it the day of or the day after, but have a process and make sure you're always doing that, because what I've seen is I bet that 75% of the time that I've told someone to do that, they don't do it.
Right.
They'll send out 1 or 2 cards, and then a month or 2 later, hey, how's it going with the cards? Oh yeah, I need to do better at that. I did do some, but the whole point is not, it's not about selling your card, or it's not just about the card does so much for you. It's a very personal thing, but this is just about getting the muscle memory, just being true to a process. And it's really hard to do when it's new, when you're new at it. And what's great when you're a new person, you have a fresh start. Well, I see a lot of people that makes them not want to do this stuff, even though they see someone who's been in the business for 15 years or 10 years or 20 years. Those people have the hardest time a lot of times, because they go, man, how will I accept the fact that I've not been doing this for so long, and I never can go back and do it all. So I always feel for the people who are brand new, because they have this amazing fresh start. It's kind of the way I feel. Like, I have a 4-year-old little girl, so I see parents that are about to have their first kid for the first time. I feel so compelled to like tell them how, the first couple of years are going to be so easy, and then you're going to like want to jump off a bridge when they're 3. So,
and I'm in that stage right now. So
yeah. So this could very well be one of your last podcasts. So,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But it's funny though, just because like I really do see so much opportunity for people who are newer in the business, because they don't have as many walls of like bad habits, and the fact of like, how do I look back and start doing this? But it really is just about being true to a process. So if you've been doing it 20 years, you've been doing it for 2 days, write a card, thank you card every single time. And once you get that process down pat, now you can move to the next thing that's not building a website. I mean, building a website's a big commitment. So you want to make sure that you can stick with like sharing the website, updating the website. You want to be able to do all that stuff. If you just dive in and have you don't have good habits, then you're going to find that it's a lot harder to feel this like quick success from just a website, because it's really about the person and what you do with it. So
now I'll hold on one sec, because I mean, you just gave amazing tips right there. And the car thing is it's something so simple. It's so easy. And then
it's so hard.
It's so hard at the same time, because you literally, you tell the salespeople to do it. And what happens, and I'm sure you can agree with me, is a new salesperson comes over and says, what do you do? And then you could literally write out like an entire book for them and say, this is it, man. This is what you do. And then what happens is they get motivated at first, right? And then they don't see that instant result for some reason. And then just psychologically they give up, and then they start hanging around someone that's probably negative. And then it just goes downhill from there. So if you listen to this and that was you, or that's currently you right now, that can stop today. You can literally go back and start creating good habits and start getting that process like Trent's talking about. And Trent, I mean, that's just great stuff. And the part with the, some people just want to like full bam, like, first start and it's like, hey, I'm ready to own my own dealership. I'm like, you just started. Like, you haven't even mastered how the process of a sell. Like, there's steps of a sell that you must know. And it's not like it happens like that. Like, you got to put in the work. So thank you for sharing that, but go on, man. Sorry.
Yeah. And processes are everything, because we're human and life happens, and everything is designed to shake up, just life in general. I'm not even talking about selling cars. I mean, everything in our world gets shook up at a certain point in time, and it happens to us for our whole life. And you have to be, you have to have a good foundation. And this is why processes are so important. And I'm a huge believer in processes, because if you veer off of a process and then things aren't ending up the way that you want them to end up, then it's really easy. Get back on your process. You just,
Right.
you know, the process. So that's why it's so important. And that's why, you know, all of us, or, you know, any company who designed to do follow-up, things like that, it's all about these flows and these processes, because that you have to have a good foundation that you can go back to if things get shook up. So
right. And in that process part, I want everyone to know, and I'm sure Trent will agree with me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, you have the foundation, right? So you need a foundation, and that foundation is that process, like how something goes about. Like when a customer comes in and they're just visiting, then you know, make sure you capture their information to, you know, send them an email to start engaging with them and, you know, creating that top of mind awareness. But that doesn't mean that it has to be done the exact same way as every single one else. It doesn't have to be your generic emails that are sent, that it's the same thing from every dealership. And now, do you agree with that? Disagree? And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
no, completely. I mean, the truth is that the way that a dealership's follow up is set up is always set up for the masses. It's set up for everyone. And so you have the people who are a little lazier, don't do, you know, they kind of are just waiting to be told everything. And then you got those high speed people who are just over the top, probably the top guys on the board, the top gals on the board every month, the people who are the best car salesmen or the best salesman in any industry are the people who are doing the extra things. And so the process that is built is supposed to be able to work for everyone, and maybe even push the people who are a little lazier, but it's still a general process. And
Right.
and I know when I'm making a process for the store, I'm thinking, okay, well, what's going to work for everybody here? I'm not going to be like, here, let's do the process that Trent would do every time, and then expect
I'm so sorry. I'm laughing because when I first
15
started,
people to
when
be
I
like, oh
when I
my
first
gosh,
started this, Trent, when I first started this, you know, before I ever met you, it was like, all right, so yeah, how do you use this feature in Build a Brand? And I was just like, yeah, this, and this. And I was like, wait, you guys didn't get that? Like, you didn't understand it? Like, I'm not, how? Like, but the thing is I didn't think like you. But now, you know, after many failed attempts on my fault, like my behalf, and you know, a lot of talking with you, I've learned that, you know, you have to build out that process for the majority of everyone first, right? And the baseline. And so, but the question I have for you, and I'm sure some people are asking, is if they're like, you know, me and you, just like, oh, just like intense and fast, and how do you do that? I mean,
So, well,
know?
you have to have your own process on top of the general process. And so, no matter how high speed you are, it's still about having a foundation and process.
No,
There's
I'm
a
saying,
lot.
how do you come up with a generic process? That's what I
Okay,
want. Yeah. I mean,
so
think about like if a manager's listening to this right now
yeah.
and they're like you, and they're just like gun ho, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait, I thought you guys got that, but then you're like, hey, no, we need to take it down a level. So for that person that's listening, that's like, how do you just get a generic process? Like, what are the thoughts that you think about? Is it just like the bare minimum that you must do to survive, or?
Well, I think that you have to look at all the different ways to contact, because you have your contact that you use to build up to a sale. And then you have the contact that cultivates that relationship you have after the sale, which to me is the most important contact there is. And you have to look at what are the different ways I can do this. So if you're like, say, after the sale, you have the ability to use Facebook, Instagram, you know, social media. You have the ability to text message somebody. You have the ability to send somebody a thank you card in the mail. So in the CRM, and like in my store, there is no thing that pops up that says, send this out in the mail right now, because people just won't do it. But I have my own process that tells me exactly when to send something out. It actually lets me print out the name, the address, what they bought, what date. I have a little note section. I can put it in a file, like hobbies, pets. I like to have little things like that to remember, so that when I'm writing a note, I can mention, you know, their dog, you know, in that note or whatever, just something personal. So that's part of my process. There's no CRM process that's going to go as deep as putting someone's dog's name into a letter that you're going to put in the mailbox. And, you know, for me, I pay for my own postage. it's 50 cents to mail a letter, which that's a lot of money when you're sending out, 250, 300 letters a month, when you're paying it. So like, this is all part of the process that I choose to have based on what I want to give to my customer. So when you're building your own processes, you just have to find out what are the types of contacts that I'm comfortable with, and how can I incorporate those into me getting what, in my world, I call them touch points. I believe in touch points. So one of my follow-ups with a customer after 3 months is just touch point, 3-month touch point. And that to me means, Trent, text them if you've been successful at texting them before. If they don't even carry a cell phone, then send them a letter in the mail. If they're one of your friends on Facebook, because that's a whole nother part of my process, is actually being friends with my clients. Which surprisingly,
why would you want to be friends with your clients on
I know, right?
social media?
Because it's not 2006 anymore, and it's definitely socially acceptable to send a friend request to somebody who you gave good service to, and you have this. This was going to be my second point. So, my first point is that about the foundation, about writing a card, thank you card. The next point there is actually using social media at a personal level and not at just a business level. And so if I move into that, because I go on tangents and I'm scatterbrained.
No, and so everyone knows, so Trent is doing several different ways of communicating with the consumer. So if you think about it, as you as a consumer, if you're purchasing something, and say if you text someone, but then they email you, all of a sudden you're just like, wow, this guy obviously doesn't understand, or girl doesn't understand like how I like to communicate. So Trent is trying several different avenues to communicate with the customer, to see exactly how they like to communicate. And he's built processes around that. And then getting to his next point he's about to go into, which I know he does, because this dude's a machine on Facebook Messenger. And I'm sure, most of you probably don't even use Facebook Messenger on the desktop, but you actually can click on the far left-hand side. It says Messenger, like it's like a portal for just Messenger, like its own app. And now I want you to go into that, because I know you're a machine at it. And so go into your next point, man.
So I'm at a different place in my career, my branding now than I was, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, because I'm only one person. I don't have an assistant. I don't have, I have a 4-year-old. So I'm trying to balance in my career, my family time, not being a bell-to-bell kind of guy all the time, but do the best I can while I'm at work. So when I was building my customer base, I was posting all the time, every single delivery, because I do take a picture of every single delivery. This is part of what's helped out in my dealer rater success.
And by the way, he can, and side note, he can literally tell you something, multiple things about every single one of his customers, just looking at the photo. And I kid you not. So you can ask him, but it's crazy. But go ahead.
Yeah, I can actually most of the time even hear a name and tell you a lot about him. But that's one thing, a little bit of Rain Man I was blessed with. It's helped me a lot. I don't get stuck too much with in front of someone going, yeah, I remember you. So
right.
But the reason why I remember my customers well and everything is, like, a lot of it is because I'm friends with a lot of them on Facebook. And what I do is I have a business page on Facebook, and I suggest having a business page if you're going to do any type of ads or any of that type of stuff, or boosting, which that's a whole nother topic. But if you're going to do Facebook ads and things like that, having a business account is something you have to have. And again, as part of a brand, you are a business, so you need to have presence. And the whole point of branding, and as me as a car salesman, if anybody is hearing the words, I'm looking for a car, I need a car, like, I want anyone who knows me and subconsciously in their brain to go, boom, I need to tell them about Trent. Hey,
boom. And
let me tell you about my guy.
Right here, I'm going to just type this out at the bottom of the screen. That is top of mind awareness at its finest.
Exactly. And that's so important, because what you're doing by having a Facebook page and sending letters and reaching out and follow up, all you're doing, even traditional follow-up, just calling somebody, oh, look, I got a 1-year phone call. Hey, how you doing? How you liking the car? You're working on top of mind awareness. You're putting yourself in that customer's mind now, you've kind of reset the clock, refreshed their remembering you. And then the next time someone says something, boom, everyone loves to give a referral. People love to go, oh, I know a guy. Oh, I know a girl. Hey, you should go do this. I use this one place this one time. Everyone loves to be the helper who gets you taking, their friend taking care of or whatever. So if you did a good job when you sold the car, and then on top of it, that you made a good impression on them, you've kept in touch with them, they are going to be compelled to put people in front of you. And so now you have people out there who are working for you because you did a good job. And it's all earned, honestly, by doing a good job, by doing what's right, by knowing what you're talking about. And this goes back to product knowledge and knowing that stuff. The more that you can be efficient with your processes, the better experience the customer is going to have. And the more consistency you have over years, because you could do a great job the day they buy a car. You could write a thank you card and send it out, and then they can never hear from you. And there's some people that I have that fall through the cracks. It happens. I'd say, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, I'll see a name and go, oh my gosh, why are they with that salesperson? And it'll be someone that fell through the cracks. And it does happen to me too. And it just kills me. And it always turns out that I did really good. I remember them. Everything went great. And then somehow my follow-up, whether I didn't get them in my process right or whatever, they fell through the cracks. Or they called in, somebody put their name under their name. I never seen them in my follow-up anymore. And something like that happens. But
so in that situation, that happens, quite a bit. Or I'll give you an example real quick. When I was selling cars, I could still sell, different brands. And one of the girls I went to high school with, we cheered in high school together. We're real close. I was pulling out for lunch, went to the stop sign, looked over. I was like, wait, is that Whitney? I was like, yo, Whitney, what's up? I was like, man, you test drive that car? She's like, yeah. I was like, man, that is nice. She's like, yeah. And she's like, I know you work at the BMW store. I was like, hey, no, seriously. Like, I think I'm pumped up for you. It's not about me. Like, it's about you. Like, this is a sweet car. And I was like, it's completely my fault. I should have said something. In that moment, it's like, it kind of crushed me, because it's like, I didn't do my job correctly. I didn't literally make it known. So the next day it was known, not to like, I was not mad at anyone. It was my fault 100%. But I made a video at every location I could sell at, and there's 13 different locations. And I was like, did you know I could sell here? I could sell here. But I did it on purpose because I was so mad at myself because I missed out on an opportunity. And I think it was a month where I could have hit like a bonus or something. And it was just like, I was so frustrated. But, do you feel like when it happens to you that you take it as kind of like constructive criticism of yourself? Because most of those people are like, that dude skated me, or that girl skated me, when in fact they didn't. It was the fact that you didn't follow your process to do what you're supposed to do to maintain that relationship to sell that car.
If that happens to me, it is 100% my fault. I instantly have to say, hey, I'll go shake their hand, say, I'm so glad that you're taken care of, or whatever it may be. But in the end, it kills me, because what we're really working for here is these relationships that are super fruitful. I mean, one really good loyal customer is 5 to 10 car deals over a long period of time, with repeats and referrals. And the influence that person has for you, out working for you, when you're always on the top of their mind when it comes to talking about cars. And this is why I put myself out there. Hey, I don't need to just sell you a car. If you want advice on something, if you want me to tell you, who's the best person to go talk to over at Mercedes, like, just call me. Like, I'll get you into with the right people. And the reason I do that is because I'm still always on top of their mind, not just about, I need to buy a car, but let me schedule your service for you, because at least I'm on top of your mind again. So I let my customers know, reach out to me to schedule your service. Yeah, you can go online and fill the form out. You can call in, do all that. Or you can just shoot Trent a text or shoot me a message on Facebook, and I'll run right over and get it scheduled for you, because now they're going to come in and say hi to me. They're going to want to talk to me. I help them out. And so there's 100 different ways that you can put yourself in front of somebody, often as these touch points that I call them.
Right. And I
makes them go to you.
That last one you said, I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, man. I love getting feedback back and forth with you, because I feel like we can just, just conquer and like change the world. But man, you just gave me like an idea sparked for some reason, and I'm sure someone's done it, but whatever. It just came to Cameron's head, so I'm gonna say it. The service thing, right? So obviously the service thing, some people do. I used to do. I'd come pick it up at your work or your house, and I know you do that too. But the one thing I think that some people miss, and I think we should all do, is when someone purchases a car, and I'm sure you've done it, schedule the first service then, or go ahead and put in your calendar as a reminder on this day, reach out to this person and call for service, right? Because that right there, it takes 10 seconds to put a reminder in Google Calendar, right?
So part of my sold follow-up process, which I have a very intense sold follow-up process.
I can only imagine, man.
Just because of the fact that I think that's everything. You know, a lot of people do all their follow-up in their CRM. And then they got their sold follow-up. And they get busy throughout the day. And that sold follow-up, well, when I get through my real follow-up, then I'll do those. And then they don't get through them and they roll over.
Right?
Totally need to flip them. Because the customer who you're dealing with, who may never come back, who already bought a car 3 days ago, just don't want to tell you that they did, that you're trying to call and do all this stuff. And then the customer who's bought 2 cars from you, who has service next week, and they are now on a 3-year lease that's up all in 2 months, is like pure gold. And you're going to let that
high valued customer. And I'm so glad you're going down this route, because I want to ask your opinion, because I'm very biased 100%. Okay. But in this scenario, very similar to what you just said. Now I want you to think about this: referrals. Okay. A referral fee. Some dealerships have 0, which some of it's part of the law. Like Ohio, you cannot have a referral fee. You cannot pay someone to send someone to you. But some of the referral fees are like $50, right? But then you look at how much they spend. If we take the national average, which it's not, in my opinion, I don't think it's $640. I think it's like $1,200 per car sold, because you're not being real with the, maybe that salesperson, probably our marketing money didn't do that. But anyways, so $50 for a referral, which is someone that already knows, likes, and trusts you, and they believe their friend that sent them to you, and that's like doesn't cost you anything. Like, it's just someone saying, hey, I believe in this person, go see him, go work with him, he's going to treat you right. And then we're like, $50, thank you. But then we're like, oh, price shopper, or someone that doesn't care about our dealership, our unique selling proposition, our philosophy, our salespeople wants to build a relationship and long lasting friendship or whatever. We're like, we can spend $600 to $1,200 on them every single one. We don't even care. What do you like? And it's just personal thoughts, and everyone has their own opinion. But do you feel like high valued customers, repeats and referrals should be more prevalent to actually compensate them a little bit more than $50 or $100, whatever the case may be? But due to the fact that we spend so much on people just to get seen, like the shotgun approach to reach the 3% shopping right now, what are your thoughts?
Well, actually, I'm pretty torn on that. I think that when you have these relationships that are really strong, and you have your different buckets of customers, you have the ones who will take a bullet for you that you're so close to.
You're my favorite car guy.
And other than those 2 people, you have your other buckets of you have those customers that you don't really have a strong relationship with. They might not respond to you ever. You still kind of try to reach out with these touch points and things. So I know you have these different buckets of customers. And what I do is my store has a $100 referral fee. It gets built into the deal. It's never a fight like, oh my gosh, a referral. Like, I mean, we're so happy to put that 100 goes to the customer. And
it's good. I moved my computer.
Are you good? Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear. You're good to go.
All right, because you're a little choppy.
Yeah, it was getting crazy. I moved my computer.
Your Mississippi fiber optics are.
Okay, man. Hey, you leave those fiber optics alone. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So, let me see where I was at. Okay, so when the $100 gets charged to the deal, like, we're really happy about that, and it's not a bad thing. That
right.
means that, something great's happening. The customer's going to get a check. We don't really have like a different level of it. And I think it's good to have a standard process. Now, this is when what we talked about earlier, as an individual, you can do things that are better or more high speed than the norm and the general. So the $100 that goes out, the way it works in my store, goes to accounting. Check request is made, customer's name, address, $100. You put the stock number on, it gets billed stock number. That's the end of it. And they send a check. Customer gets this envelope that says Tucson Subaru on it. They open it up, and there's a check, and then the top stub that says Bird Dog, stock number, and that's it. And that's what they get. And that is how everybody gets their checks.
Stop, hold up, wait. No, that is missed opportunity, Trent. I'm hoping this next part you're going into tells me, Cameron, I actually physically either go to them or have them come in to pick it up. And I'm hoping
there is a positive ending.
Okay,
here.
I'll go ahead and let you continue, because if not, Trent, I'm about to yell at you. No,
No. So for me, I have a note that goes in the note section, and I say in all caps, please do not mail check. Please give the Trent, and put a little smiley face on there. And now all the girls in accounting just know, oh, this is one of Trent's referrals. So they walk down to me, and there I got a check with the stub. I ripped the stub off and put it in in my file. Now I've got a check. I have a custom made thank you card that has my logo and a big thank you on the front, have my hashtag on the back, a picture of me, my phone number, my website on the inside, and a big blank space. I always pull out Sharpies. I write, thank you so much for sending your mom into me, and all this kind of stuff, whatever it is. At the top, I always put look me up and tag me on social media, and I put @Trent the Car Guy and hashtag Askfortrent, all in handwriting. I take 3 business cards, I wrap them up in the check, put it in the middle, put it in, stamp it, handwrite it all, and go bring it up to the receptionist. So that is the perfect example of how there's a general process that works for everybody, and then you have the ability to make a process better. But that's my process every time. If I have a referral, I write that way every single time. So I have another process on top of that process.
Okay, so quick question, and this is just me thinking out loud, because this is stuff that I did, and I know some salespeople out there do it. Necessarily not just, I love the fact that you do all that, and then you send them. You say you take it to the receptionist, and I'm assuming she sends it out in the mail. Is that correct? Right. Okay, yeah. So would you think about, as you still do that, but then you taking the time to, obviously if they're around, like if it's something that's like they're obviously around, like either call them, tell them to come up. Or you just like, you can say, hey, Trent, hey, I got a surprise for you. Hey, just come up here. I want to show you something. You're going to love this. If you got time today, let me know, or I can come bring it to you. And then that moment right there of capturing that, either a photo or a video talking about the referral, do you feel like that's something that you might want to implement later? Or do you feel like it's a missed opportunity, or do you feel like it's a waste of time? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this is like before. So once you get a process down pat and it's perfect, now you can start to build onto that process. So
that's true.
Now you've got the general process, you have your process, and now you're adding some more. And that's where now, and that's what, like for me, you asked about different amounts of money and things. Most people getting the referral check are really thankful you helped their friend or their family out. It's not, I would say more than 50% of the time. It's not about the money. The money is a bonus, icing on the cake, and it's proving that you actually are acknowledging. You're not just taking, and you're acknowledging that they're, thinking of you. And so I think that like there are certain customers of mine. One time I went online and to some gift place and got a huge thing of like chocolates and like some wine and some cool stuff for one of my customers. She's bought 5 cars for me. She sends me referrals out the wazoo. So
now here's a question. I'm gonna let you finish with it. So you said that obviously, like, and I've seen people do it too, like, oh, I just don't care about that. Like, you give it to them, right? Thanks for helping my friend out. I appreciate it. And that happens all the time. And now you said, a lot of people just don't really think about it. Now think about this, right? So we talked about earlier where they say 640, which, it's 640 between 1,200 per car sold. Now you call them and say you have a $500 referral check for them, or you give them a $500 referral check. Do you think that mindset changes? Do you think that mindset goes from, I don't really care, I'm super happy you helped my friend to, holy crap, I got $500. Do you think that likelihood of them saying, wow, you just helped my friend purchase a car, you gave me $500, I get $500 each time someone buys a car as long as I refer them, and you say, yeah, do you think that would increase the amount of referrals you got from that person?
Well, personally, I think it shouldn't. But I mean, I understand how important, money can be to people. I think that they should have that compelling feeling to send people to Trent no matter what, if they're in the
Right.
opportunity. It's not like they're going to be out. That's more trying to get someone to go out actually working. Like, they're earning money by sending people to you. And I think that the whole goal is really for them to be compelled to get
do it
people to
without
you
spending the money.
when
Correct.
the opportunity pops up that they can. So they're hanging out with their friend, watching a football game, and they're like, dude, my car sucks and I need something else. And someone's like, dude, wait, go. Let me tell you about Trent, man. My guy, like he's going to take care of you. Like, whether they're getting nothing, $100, $500, the opportunity popped up because how they feel about you, and that conversation popped up. So you really just want your clients out there, you have relationships, like zapping like Trent when it comes up.
And
So
thank you
I
for
don't
sharing
know.
that,
And
because you actually, I mean, you just taught me something. Not really taught, but you opened my eyes to it, because, I guess, and sometimes in my mind, I'm thinking, yes, like you, I want it to be about me because I built an amazing experience. But then sometimes I'm thinking, I did build an amazing experience, but maybe this might help influence that just a little bit more. But you kind of open my eyes to where it's really that, the goal is to get to the point where it's not really about that money or the materialistic item. Like, it's just about, Trent's going to treat you right. So thank you for sharing that, man. That's awesome.
yeah, all you're doing is building a reflex in the customer, and you're earning it the right way by doing the right thing, taking care of them, keeping in touch with them, being there for them, all that. But you're just creating a reflex. And when their reflex is to be like, oh wait, what car? Do you say something about a car?
Sorry, I thought you said Trent. What was that?
Yeah, that's all you're doing. You're just creating a reflex. And I don't think that the amount of money they get on referrals is going to change the amount of that reflex if you've done all the right things to make them have it. And on top of it, I don't know of any dealerships that ever we see on the front line with the customer and building this relationship. It's really hard to translate the realness of that up the ladder to the spreadsheet that's being looked at a higher level. So, we understand it, like that you have this amazing relationship. You want to give them more, but I think it'd be a tough thing to actually get implemented.
No, and I've seen a store actually do it. I've seen a store actually go to that extreme. And you say, it's all about the figures. So then when you're looking at cost per car sold, and then you see one over here, cost per car sold, and they say $900, that's how much it costs for us to sell that car in marketing money. And then you went over to one down below, and yeah, it's normal than what everyone else has kind of done for a bird dog fee. But then, you go down and then you see $500, but then you're like, wait, they've sent us 4 other people this past month. So what if we would have to spend $900? I mean, we're saving money. So numbers don't lie, right? So the reality in that situation. But again, I like what you said in regards to how I feel. I just think that, I don't know. I just feel like you should spend your money on your salespeople, which are awesome, and then your high value customers, and don't just be wasting it and shotgun approaching. You should have a sniper approach when targeting people. But I mean, you said something very powerful, man. Like, it should not be about the money. It should be about the experience that you're providing. So
I'll tell you, let me just say one last thing here on this. So one thing is, the only way for that to actually happen at a dealership is right back to what we've been talking about, is if there's actually a process, or maybe like a program that is like, one referral gets you this, another referral gets that. That's different versus, just picking like,
kind of gamifying it for the consumer.
Yeah. The other thing is I think your money's better spent because the customers that are giving you the referrals likely aren't doing it for the money. They're actually doing it because they have a reflex where they like you and they want to help. So I think that you're better off actually paying out some extra incremental money to the salesperson, because the salesperson must be doing something right if they're getting a whole bunch of referrals, and these are building up, that you can see that. And I think that the dealership
That's interesting.
actually gets a lot more benefit from a salesperson who's out really doing the right things to get customers to be sending all these people in, because again, it's saving the dealership money.
Yeah. So let's think about that. Just briefly. I mean, we could get on this forever. We're, probably gonna, in the next 5 minutes or so, have to wrap it up. But I mean, you just said something pretty interesting that I've never even thought about. So you're saying that in the event that a salesperson is just crushing it with referrals, right? High value customers, cost the dealership nothing, right? And then this customer doesn't take the money. You're saying in that case, reward the salesperson due to the fact that he's helped the dealership save money. And then what you're doing is you're building this morale with the salesperson that, hey, like when you do the right thing, good things happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't. It can be, and this
doesn't
is
have to be financial, but I'm just,
even at my store, it's very basic, but I appreciate it. We have a repeat customer bonus. It's $25. It's nothing crazy,
right?
But when you fill out your accessories, spiffs, and all this kind of stuff on each deal, if you sell accessories, whatever bonus you get, you write, is this a repeat customer? And if that's a customer that Trent Nichols sold before and Trent Nichols is selling again, I get a $25 bonus.
That's awesome.
Now, we do the same thing with a service. If there's a customer in service who has an open RO and you sell them a car, you also get a $25 bonus, because it's incentivizing you to do, like you said, not go spend these high advertising dollars to get people in, and it's a total crapshoot. You're pulling people who already have a brand loyalty, have a loyalty to your dealership, and you're not only getting a trade that was service at your dealership, all that, but if you get $25 if you sell them with the open RO, and then if you take their car on trade, you get a $75 bonus on top of that. So you take a repeat customer of yours that came in for service, you sell them a car and take their car on trade, you make $150 extra on your deal. When, with what deals pay, that could double up.
We all know that
what you might make on a deal.
There's not much money in new cars, regardless of what anyone thinks. There's really not. It's mainly, used. But anyways, I love that idea, man. I think that's amazing, and that gets me kind of back to when I sold cars, like our finance department, man. Like, and I love the dudes; they are awesome. But you sold a warranty, you got $25, and if they bought something else, and you got to roll, right? So based off of how many things you got to roll dice, and then, you're walking away from a meeting with $200 to $300 hard cash, like,
and a gambling habit.
No, not a gambling habit, but just but that actually helped me. Like, and you can, talk to my old finance guy. Like, I would push Mercedes extended warranties like nobody's business. The reason why is because, first off, it's a no-brainer, and it really helps the clientele, like our clients. It's going to help them in the long run. But secondly, like, it was another chance. Like, when I was a new parent, like, my son is young. Like, I was at the dealership, I'd have to look at him in bed because he was asleep by the time I got home. And when I left, it's like, I have to feed him. And coming home from this meeting, calling my wife and saying, hey, I got an extra $150. Like, so I'm pumped up. Like, that makes you feel good. And it makes me like want to push product more, which is actually going to help, the consumer in the end anyways. So I think it's awesome, man. Thank you so much for bringing that idea. And Trent, man, we could keep going on and on, but I don't know if, my hard drive will back up that much, but so I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. And if you guys want to go ahead and follow Trent, you could pretty much type in hashtag Askfortrent, Trent the Car Guy, pretty much anywhere, and you will find him. And his website is askfortrent.com. And you honestly just look at his stuff. He has amazing stuff. I'll go ahead and provide all of his links down below in the description. And up here, you'll notice that his video is right there where it says next video. Go ahead and click that. Check out his the video he just did with his Subaru going cross country, and it's pretty awesome and very detailed. So Trent, thank you so much for joining us. And
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next time.
They said I couldn't do it, but I can. Yes, I can. New requests are coming in to be my friend. Friend. build a brand.